Okay, guys, I got recommended this video on the Discord, so let's watch it.
I've been tossing and turning about how to film this freaking video for Guild Wars 2. I accidentally became obsessed with Guild Wars 2. I was gonna script this.
We all agonized, buddy.
I love this game. I love Guild Wars 2 so much.
Yeah.
For
It's
so
really
many
good.
different reasons. I should bullet point these. Guild Wars 2 is awesome. And it's funny because I was like, this game is so old. Why would I want to play this? It's as old as Final Fantasy XIV. It's certainly not as old as World of Warcraft.
No.
Some funny aspects about this game is that I think the bloom effect in this game makes it look a lot older than it actually is. Thankfully, you can turn that off. As I've gotten older, you know how many times I've hopped into Monster Hunter World to try to recapture that feeling I had when it first came out?
There are so many places in Guild Wars 2 that look so much like Monster Hunter World, and like, I bring that up all the time whenever I'm streaming this game, and other people don't say a word to me about the fact that I'm 100% right, but this game looks so much like Monster Hunter World at times. I don't know, really, it's got to be like the big sweeping vertical and horizontal environments, like the way that everything is sort of like layered together in that kind of way, and all the different masteries and everything that you use to traverse all that terrain. That's the only thing that I can really guess, but like the terrain in this game looks so much like Monster Hunter, and I love Monster Hunter World, dude. I think it's one of the best looking games of the past decade.
In 2018 or whatever. And every time I do, it takes 20 to 40 minutes to fight a monster. I'll hop into Guild Wars 2. I can do whatever I want. I have literally unlimited options. Now, I know you could say that for any MMO, obviously, but I have unlimited options, and I never
but all the stuff in Guild Wars 2 is actually fun. There's actually no downside to doing anything in Guild Wars 2. Everything contributes to your in-game goals of getting, you know, legendaries or having completion of the map or doing all those kinds of things. Everything in Guild Wars 2 is important. I could make you a list of all the things that I want to do in Guild Wars 2 right now, and it wouldn't matter whatsoever because it would be everything in the game that I haven't done yet, because it all just comes together.
What I'm doing is wasting my time. I just spent 155 hours on getting all of the mounts that have incredible utility. The Sprigger jumps really high. The Jackal dives.
Wait, he's not playing it all the way through in order,
through
dude?
sand
That's crazy.
and does a little burst sand animation. The Raptor jumps cliffs. The Wave Rider allows you to literally either go underwater, which I still have to unlock, or just go across the top of the water faster. The Griffin and the Sky Scale are the two grindiest of the grinds, I would say. The Sky Scale I did all through the Secrets of the Obscure version, which is a faster experience compared to how you could previously get it. And the Griffin, it's a bit of running around. And as a new player, I don't necessarily recommend doing it this way, because it's sort of like I had to do all the DLC out of order, all the expansions out of order, the story's all disjointed now. You shouldn't do it that way. If you've never played Guild Wars 2 before, you should just start doing the My Story, going into the Living Worlds, and go in order. But Genethia Wilds just came out, and it's like, it's the perfect time to play this game.
Yeah.
And no, this isn't sponsored. Do I wish it was? Absolutely, but it's not. Genethia Wilds is awesome. What's really cool about this game is that once you get exotic gear, it's your choice if you want to go higher to Ascendant or Legendary. You don't have to do any of that. If you want to just spend some money in world, all you got to do, real world money for the game, you just go and buy the exotics. I'm not saying you do that. That's what I did because I wanted to speed up the process a little bit. I just bought the exotic gear. I did some research, and that was that.
Guild Wars 2 is extremely accessible off-rip for basically anybody who wants to get in there and just start playing the game. If you're not going to hold yourself to some kind of challenge run or anything like that, Guild Wars 2 is a game that you jump in, you get to level cap, which you can get to extremely quickly if you just blow through the game, and then you get your higher level gear and you start getting your elite spec, and then after you have all that done, you're good to go. Everything that you want to do is completely available to you. Meta events, raids, strikes, everything is completely available to you, and it completely depends on your skill level in the game to play it. And all of it is still completely current. There is nothing that is going to be a waste of your time to do. If you've ever played World of Warcraft, whenever you're doing that game, whenever you start to get to the in-game content, there's actually not that much to do, if we're being super honest about the way that game feels at the end of it. You can do raids, you can get out there and you can train your gear and try to get some of the best pieces in the game at this current time, but like all that old stuff, dude, go back and fight the Lich King and try to get invincible. You'll kill him in one hit. You'll kill everything in that dungeon in one hit. The most annoying thing about that dungeon at this point, the most annoying thing about that raid, is that you have to walk a super long distance to get through that giant castle of his that he's in. There's really not a whole lot that you have to do in that game after you get to max level, and the lot of the content doesn't even feel good to do anymore. Guild Wars 2 is the fix to that. Everything is still exactly the way that it was before. Mostly, I mean, there's been tweaks to things and everything, but like, you know, a lot of it is still very, very difficult content. And it's a really good
Never
time
have
to play.
to change my gear again. You know, you hop into some of these other games, World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy 14, and you're like, okay, shoot, it's a new expansion. I got to get my character to
I'm
level whatever.
180
And then
levels
that's
behind.
literally what you do. Maybe there's a story. Ideally, there's a story. You do it, and then you get to the other side, and you're like, okay, now what? Not in Guild Wars. There's always something to do. Do you know how many times I've literally done like old ass content from like 8 years ago, and it still has like 50 to 60 to 70 players? That's madness to me. That's madness to me that I could hop in world chat and be like, hey, can someone help me with the champion? And someone's like, sure. And then they come and they help you. What? In Elder Scrolls Online, you go to old content, it's dead. There's maybe 10 people.
It is dead. You can get trains going pretty easily, and especially if you're in a guild, it's not that hard to get people to come and help you do things. But yeah, I mean, Elder Scrolls Online is definitely dead. Elder Scrolls Online suffers from this really big problem where even their new expansions a lot of times are dead because people are so focused on the finality of everything in that game, like getting the best gear currently, and a lot of times those dungeons don't change that much, and like what you're going around and grinding for is older content a lot of times, or at least pieces of your gear are. So it's so split up. I mean, I remember when Necrom released, it was the first time I had ever played Elder Scrolls Online long enough to be ready for an expansion when Necrom came out. Necrom comes out, I'm there on day one, I log in, I go to the main city, nobody's there. There was 1 or 2 people running around besides me. It felt so bad. I did not play that game again for months and months and months. Guild Wars 2 doesn't have this feeling at all, even in the base game content, because base game Tyria completion still has masteries with lots of different things that you need, including the auto loot, which is a huge thing to get inside of this game. Whoa, I just fell. Which is a huge thing to get inside of this game. And playing this game like through all of the content and getting everything is such an important thing for people who've been playing a long time that it's like a completionary thing, but it also gives you benefits. So people are just roaming around.
Forget trying to do a world boss. That's not going to happen. And maybe it does if you're like in a Discord or whatever. But it's actually mind-blowing how much this game, it feels like
every world boss is packed, dude.
Front to back.
Shadow Behemoth is packed still. Jungle Worm is still packed. Fire Elemental is still packed. All these early game world bosses are still packed every single time.
They call it horizontal progression, as opposed to some of the other MMOs, which are all about vertical progression and getting the better gear, and you continue on. Horizontal progression means you can kind of do everything and you still get what you want. And the thing is that you can literally, there's a whole ass list of achievements, and each mount has mastery points. And so the more you play the game, the more you level up. It's not leveling up your XP bar, well, it is, but you're leveling up your XP bar for mastery points that improve your quality of life in the game. So it's a Warframe problem where you're naturally grinding for a new Warframe or a new mount or a new experience or the ability to jump higher as a Warclaw, which is this tiger mount. And I've spent literally 155 hours just playing a little bit of the story. I finished Path of Fire, which was like the 3rd or 4th expansion, and it was great. It was super fun. The story was actually decent. I didn't even need to worry about, I probably would have hit harder if I'd done the stuff before, but I still was like, wow, this is kind of cool. I don't know who these characters are. And then, of course, this is a music channel, so let's talk about the music. It has this classical orchestral soundscape. I don't necessarily think that the songs themselves are extremely special. Like, I think that they're very nice to listen to, but not everything has like a florid melody. A lot of it's ambient, but not ambient in the World of Warcraft kind of way, where it's really showing you the landscape and like it feels like it's for the landscape, and certainly not like Final Fantasy XIV, which is all about like making
it's ambient like it's a moment. It's ambient like you're walking through a place and this is sort of like the overture of a scene where somebody is walking and you have to do all of that walking that they would normally only show 30 seconds of, but you have that kind of feeling. It's like you're walking to Mordor. That's the feeling.
You feel like the hero even when you're in an area because everything is so melodic and everything is so like, you know, I'm thinking of Radzat Han, or, you know, there's no like arcing motivic idea that locks you into each region. No, Guild Wars 2 is just gorgeous symphonic writing. And sometimes it's connected and sometimes it isn't. I mean, like the battle themes are fine, but there's a couple tracks that have really blown me away. But before we even get into that, we should listen to Genthier Wild's main theme. Like, check this out. If you like the Witcher soundscape, you're gonna go absolutely nuts for this. Listen to this. It literally sounds like tuning.
Oh, I've heard this. This is the theme that comes on at the beginning now, yeah? Yeah, it's good. It's good vibes, man. Guild Wars is probably the most complete and well put together MMO that I think is out currently, which is like a really big statement to make, and I understand that, but I believe that. I think that it checks all of the boxes for me of things that you want an MMO to be. You know, it's huge. There's tons of people in the world. The world feels very alive. The quest lines are numerous, and you can go through and do a whole bunch of other stuff. There's lots and lots of things to get distracted by. There's something for everybody. No matter what it is that you want to do, you'll be able to enjoy something. After you enjoy that thing, if you're kind of getting tired of it, there's plenty of other things for you to do, and they sort of lean into each other and weave together in a way that takes you down different paths depending on what it is that catches your eye. There's an endless amount of collection that you can do, and most people will never, ever complete it. There are tons and tons of items for you to get that are massive grinds, so there is like huge achievement things to go for. There's top-tier PvP. There's lots of different modes of everything, so even if you don't like a flavor of something in the game, they have something else for you. Guild Wars 2 has almost no downsides. The only downside really in Guild Wars 2 is microtransactions. And that's just because the game doesn't cost a subscription fee. You pay $140 or something, and then you have the game, and you play all of it forever, and you do everything that you want to do for as long as you want to do it. And when a new expansion comes out, if you want it, you buy that expansion. But the game is just the game, and you get to play it as much as you want to. You know... I like World of Warcraft. I do. I like... Sorry, I'm interrupting this song. Let me finish up this song. The song does kind of rip, though.
Now we start to pick up in tempo and stuff, right? The horns lead the melodic charge that we've just sort of heard. Nice male chorus. Key change.
I like this guy. He's got good vibes. Dude, it looks so good, you know? Guild Wars 2 is an MMO that I feel is kind of trapped in the olden time of MMOs, which is a good thing, a distinctly good thing. It has not tried, I don't think, exceptionally hard in order to bring itself into the future of what they're trying to do with MMOs now to market to people. They don't care about all of that. They're not trying to bring a ton of new people into the genre. They're not trying to capture people who like battle royales. They're not trying to do all those things. They might add game modes here and there and put in different things that sort of are little, nods to the fact that they understand that these things exist, but they're trying to make an MMO the way that we remember MMOs being. This is the kind of trailer for an MMO that you would have seen in 2007. This is the way it would have been back then. That wouldn't have been this comic book or this, deep storyline with all these voiceovers and the master of Jarathir has come down from the hillside. That's not a big flash of white and then, it's sad music blooms up and then it zones into one person who's laying in bed and it's like, but a hero is about to awaken. It's not like that. That's not what they're doing. They're not pitching you this concept. All of that stuff is here, but they're pitching you the MMO experience at the end of the day. And that's the thing that the majority of people who want to play an MMO are looking for. People are still playing EverQuest, dude, because they like MMOs and they want to be inside of these worlds and do these things. And in Guild Wars 2 gives you that as somebody who wants that thing. If you haven't played Guild Wars 2 at this point, man, you need to go play this game, dude. You need to put the time into it to get to it and understand what's going on, especially if you're somebody who quit World of Warcraft or whatever. You need to go try out Guild Wars 2 because I think it'll shock you what's going on over there. Look at the char, dude. These hunchback cat people. These are like in-game models, dude, you know?
That's dope as hell. There's also this one. The Queen of Merc is an awesome. This is for a champion theme, a world boss that you see floating around.
Is he gonna go over all the music? Good for him, dude.
I love the heavy percussion here.
Bro, this rips. Who is playing these drums? What cave is this person playing these drums in? Just horrific, dude. The human female meta is strong, dude. It pulls to me. It's like the Green Goblin mask. Harry.
Love that vocalism.
Play a human female, Harry. We're all unique, Harry. The legendaries look better on us, Harry.
Love that.
I know they do. I don't know, man. I tend towards Norn women, honestly.
That's such fun dissonance. You know how sharp that is?
I love these necromancery chants going on in the background. Bro, the composition is next level.
That's dope, right? But we have cool tracks too. We have peaceful tracks like Dry Top. This is like basically like a sunrise as we watch we feel how dry Top is and how like arid the place is. Listen.
Yeah, their soundscape, the world that they're trying to pitch to you is completely different than a lot of the other worlds that you've been in before as well. And it's really difficult to sort of pin down exactly what it is. There's definitely a tribal aspect going on. I mean, these different races have that built into them as well, but they all have their own little themes that are happening too. The Asura are definitely way different than the Char, are definitely way different than the humans, and they all have their own little personalities, and you see that coming across inside of the places that they live. And I always think that's a super interesting thing to throw in, and I know that's common across a lot of MMOs, but this one's just really different. It just feels different in an interesting way. Like it doesn't feel like high fantasy. It doesn't really feel like low fantasy. At times it feels like cyberpunk. At times it feels like steampunk. At times it feels like a cursed world that you're living in. It's got its own kind of thing going on. You know, there's airships, there's battlements and wars and just lots of things going on. And the music really thematically covers all of that, I think.
Gorgeous clarinet. That's flute, actually. Gorgeous flute. Bassoon, oboe.
I can't recognize all these instruments. What's the one with the 6
Harp?
strings and the thing you do that on
The
it?
bass
That's the
is
one,
underneath
man.
supporting it. It feels like sunrise. There's the clarinet. We're just repeating the same idea, right? It's all stirring. It's stirring the pot a little bit.
Yeah,
waking
totally.
us up. But it's slow in it. It's all like a natural progression to something here. The French horns have that same little motivic idea. It's 4 notes. Da 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 da. Gorgeous harp. A little bit of dissonance. Mallet instrument.
Yeah. Those bells are nice. I like watching this guy, dude. Watching him experience the music is half the fun for me right now. He has such a, like, Just look at those eyes, dude. Look at that handsome
Right?
man.
Again, we're trading off melodic ideas. Piano.
This almost feels like a nighttime city to me, you know, some place that you've rolled into in the middle of the night, and like you're looking for a place to stay, and you're noticing all of the little nightlife that's going on in the city, you know, all the little critters of the night rolling around, and all the windows that have flames lit in them, and all those kinds of things. This is the kind of vibe that it gives
Harp
me.
accompaniment.
You're here to meet Aragorn.
Nice, long sustained. Here comes the big swell into crescendo.
You finally found the one in.
Ostinato string playing right there.
All your friends are showing up.
Again, that's 4
Calm
notes.
response. I like this guy.
4 notes until it's not.
It's becoming menacing.
Now it's more. Sustained as we reset and close the book.
Yeah, this is like a really good introduction scene in Fable almost. This is really good. No, he's right, man. The music does like really set the tone in this game, and it feels so good. There's so much about Guild Wars 2 that there is to love. It's one of those games that once you play it, you're kind of locked into it for the rest of your life if you have a good experience the first time around. And it becomes one of those games where you never quit. You just kind of take breaks from it. And, you know, taking breaks from games is really a good and healthy thing, and makes you have more recognition for the good things whenever you come back to the game. And so I really appreciate all of that capability that Guild Wars 2 brings you. Without the sub fee, you have this ability to take your time and leave it when you want to, and come back when you're in the mood and have the time to actually put into the game. You can drop 30-40 hours into it and make real progress over the course of that time. It's something that is unlike kind of any other experience that there is really in the MMOs currently. There are similarities between it and all the other games, obviously. I still think that if you're going to play any other MMO, and the main one that you've played for all these years is Guild Wars 2, you should probably pick up Elder Scrolls Online and try out Elder Scrolls Online for the first time, because it has a lot of the things that you could really fall in love with inside of this, especially if you've already liked Elder Scrolls games in the past. Like, just going around in that world and adventuring, walking around, picking up items, making things, using the crafting systems, going on quests, exploring the DLCs, you know, doing one from start to finish and doing everything in it, including catching all the fish and everything. That's a really good time in that game as well. And the people who play Guild Wars 2, and I know this because I play both of those games, and when I was playing Guild Wars 2, I deeply felt the same part of my brain being activated by Guild Wars 2 that was activated during Elder Scrolls Online.
The thing about Guild Wars 2's music is that it's not trying to steal attention. It's not trying to take you out of the experience. It's not trying to remove you from this world.
Guild Wars 2 is one of the only MMOs that I play where I don't listen to any other videos or anything while I'm playing it. I just play the game because it's really easy to stay inside of that zone.
It wants you to be an active participant of its world with the music guiding that moment. Dry Top could easily have been this huge melodic sequence as we watch the sunrise and we watch all the denizens of Dry Top or the Path of Fire expansion travel around. But instead,
but they're not
this
real,
and
so
almost every other track is about making the experience ever so slightly feel like it's yours.
Yeah.
Without being melodically focused and without being so overbearingly present that it feels like you're just constantly in a world that you don't necessarily belong in. Now, that's not to say that other...
That's a really amazing point. This game does a very good job of making it feel like the experience is yours and that you're having it, no matter what else is going on. The other people sort of melt away at times, and it feels like you're the one who is, you know, in the focus zone. Whatever you're doing feels like the most important thing whenever you're playing Guild Wars 2. There is no kind of handing over of the spotlight, but you feel like a visitor in this world. I wonder if that's an effect of having not played it for enough hours, or I wonder if everyone sort of has that same kind of feeling that this isn't your home. This is a place that you're at. I mean, even the humans are brought there from another place. I would be interested to see people who play races that aren't humans as their mains, the way that they feel in this respect, because I definitely know what he means. You do feel like you're not supposed to be there, kind of. You do feel like everything is kind of set up for a whole other thing that's happened. It reminds me of Dark Souls in that kind of way, where you're sort of going through the ashes of this situation and figuring out what's going on and doing your best to help out the people that are around you, but you're not like the catalyst of all this stuff that has happened to this point. You are there to do your best for other people, and that's really, really cool, which makes it feel ironically like it is a true journey of yourself, because it doesn't feel like you're this super important main character that no one else could be. You're like this person along for the ride of the world, and the world is the main character. Like I said, Dark Souls and those games, Elden Ring, all the Souls games in general, feel that way to me as well, that it's like something, like somebody cooked here, like that kind of vibe. Something happened a long time ago, and now you're here for the experience
MMOs
of it.
don't do that. It's not to say that other MMOs are bad, or other MMOs are not as are better or worse or whatever.
Yeah,
what
no,
I find
totally
interesting about this particular soundtrack is that everything about it is there to be under the...
I want to play Final Fantasy XIV again. I want to get back to that game at some point. I want to get the free trial on my PC because I play on PlayStation. I want to make a new account on PC and start a new character and start all over again from the beginning. I've played through everything in that game already, so I already know the story, so I could, sort of like breeze through the early game and everything. But I played a Paladin last time, and it really slowed me and made me feel just like I just didn't enjoy playing tank throughout that game. And I have some negative thoughts about Final Fantasy XIV, which we'll probably get to at some point on this channel. I specifically haven't made any videos about Final Fantasy XIV up to this point because it's sort of the elephant in the room. It's a good game, and a lot of people really love it, and the investment in it goes so deep if you've played all of it because there's so much content in that game. But there is something about that game that feels really handholdy to me, and like it doesn't feel like there's a fail case as long as you don't venture off the path whatsoever. And that can be a negative or a positive. I feel like Final Fantasy XIV is a great game for people who just kind of want an RPG sort of experience, but we'll talk about it more at some other point.
That could be almost a little ungratifying, really. Or maybe almost even boring. And I'm not saying that it is.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that the music is there as a buoy. It's not there for the world, and it's not there for you. It's there because it's present. It's a part of the environment. Do you see how that's different?
It exists.
Because there's music in games that can showcase an environment, and I saw that when I played World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
And then there's music that's very, very melodically focused, which pulls...
I just did not like this look in World of Warcraft. I feel... Do I just complain a lot about things? I enjoyed Dragonflight. I thought playing that was really, really fun. I really liked flying around on the mounts. I enjoyed collecting all the sigils. I enjoyed doing the races. I liked going around and getting my crafting levels up. I liked doing the dungeons. I liked the exploration of that game. But the aesthetic of Dragonflight, this sort of summer evening, dusk kind of look that everything had, just isn't my World of Warcraft feeling. I prefer the darker, barren wastelands / dark forests, the blues and the really deep dark grays and the greens and these sort of color palettes that I think of as World of Warcraft. And while it was really good, it just felt kind of off to me in some kind of way.
And I saw
the
that
aesthetic
a lot
of it.
in my 500 hours with Final Fantasy XIV. Whereas with Guild Wars 2, what I've experienced in 155 hours is that the music is a buoy for the experience.
Yeah.
Almost to the point that you wouldn't
the experience
even
is so
notice
good.
it. I actually think that that's not to its detriment, but to its enhancement. Not only that, but the last thing I want to say about Guild Wars 2 is that it has one of the nicest communities I've experienced. And so it's like, well, what's the deal?
I'd agree with
How
that
come
too.
there aren't more people talking about Guild Wars 2? I think partially it's a marketing issue.
Yeah,
maybe.
this comes
I
up
don't
all the
know. I'm
time.
not a marketing expert. I'm a music guy. But what I would say is that don't play it because it's too nice. We get too many people in there. It's going to tarnish the whole experience.
Why is Guild Wars 2 not more popular? I don't think that it's just marketing. Everyone knows about Guild Wars 2. Everyone who plays MMOs is aware of this game. It is not a thing that people don't know about. It's not a thing that we have to show more people about. It's a thing that you have to convince people to get into and then sort of embark on this journey for a long time. I think that the same way that RuneScape is kind of difficult to get people into, not because, this is tough. There is a normal statement in the MMO community that this game gets good at 100 hours. This game gets good at Endgame. Those kinds of things. So people believe inside of them that in an MMO, your goal is to get to the end of the game. That is the thing that you are trying to do. Guild Wars 2, RuneScape, MapleStory are not trying to get you to the end of the game. They are trying to get you to play the systems that are the level up experience forever, basically. There are tons of in-game things to do in all of these, but that comes exceptionally quickly, and there is still so much more leveling content to do after you've already gotten to the in-game stuff. The rest of that doesn't go away. That isn't a chore that you have to do at the beginning. That's what the game is. And I think that getting this through people's brain, the shift of back in the day in World of Warcraft, people liked the leveling. That's what people were there for, was to explore Azeroth, dude. There was barely any in-game stuff to do. It was a long grind. People weren't so quick at it that it could go extremely fast. There wasn't any of that going on back then. What raids there were that came out as the game was patching and everything, those were far and few between, and people took forever to even get through those the first time, let alone to do them over and over and over again weekly. You were talking about an experience that was about the experience that you were having as you were doing it, not about what you were going to get at the end of this chore that you had to do. But I think that people have lost sight of that in some kind of way, and Guild Wars 2 is a little bit alarming to them that they get to level 80. There is no more levels for them to gain, and then they're sitting there thinking to themselves like, well, there's still so much to do, but I want to do all the in-game stuff. You're telling me I gotta get these masteries now? Dude, that's the game, buddy. That's the thing you're playing.
I mean, you're sitting in world chat and you ask somebody for help. Someone shows up. That's an incredible thing. And so, like, the more popular Guild Wars 2 gets, even where it is now, I mean, if it's in Janthir Wilds, it's in a really good spot to start playing. And I would highly recommend that you do.
There are lots of people there. It's just
the
not
more
like
popular this
the
game
most
gets,
popular
if
game.
it will ever reach another level of popularity, because it really does feel like it lives sort of below the radar of the other real big
coming.
heavy hitter MMOs. I do think that will bring in some of that toxicity and some of the disgruntledness that we see in other MMOs. But Guild Wars 2, I'm so happy that I sat down and I finally took it seriously and started to understand the systems. The other amazing thing about Guild Wars 2, all you have to do is do backspace wiki, whatever the issue is, and it will literally take you to a page that gives you a detailed breakdown about what you need to do to get whatever you're looking for, or what you need to do in order to traverse the difficulty, or like, what does this mean? Well, the wiki will tell you. And you might say, well, that's kind of bad if you need a wiki to explain something for you. Why can't you just ask people? But you can. You can do anything you want. But the wiki is there as a resource for everything in the game. Horizontal progression is one of the most satisfying things I've ever done. And it makes other MMOs much less fun. Because I know that I don't need to hustle to constantly get my gear level up or my level up, or I can just play. I can just be immersed in this world.
Game.
I think that there's something here for everybody.
Should be our
and
games.
The 3 examples I played of music aren't even like scratching the surface for how good this soundtrack can be, even though it doesn't rob you from the gameplay experience. It's such a synergistic experience, and I can't recommend it enough. Anyway, that was my Guild Wars 2 video. I had no idea where the hell I was going to go with that. Hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to like, subscribe, check out more on the channel.
Good job, brother. I really like that video. He makes a lot of really good points, and I feel like I'm preaching to the choir sometimes to some degree, you know? Like, I feel like I want other people to understand what's so special about Guild Wars 2, but it's like a process that you're going to have to go through over such a long time to get to the point that you're kind of at the at the place in your journey through video games to where this is the kind of thing that you're looking for. Not settling down so much, but to set up a home base. I found that with RuneScape so long ago, and other people have had such a hard time really like getting into that idea that I've had for so long, is that you don't have to quit other video games. You can have ones that are your home base, the one that you really resonate with the most, and then you can jump off from that one and go hang out in other worlds and do other things and see what they've got going on over there, and then come back to your home base. And Guild Wars 2 is another prime candidate of that, because where you left off is where you're going to be, and it's very easy to pick right back up where you were before. And everything you do in that game rewards you with something good. There are basically no things that you can do in Guild Wars 2 that don't feed into some kind of big goal, whatever that is. And if you're really smart and you go through and you pick out what those big goals are that you want to achieve over the next 10 years of you playing this game, then every time you log in, you can be working towards that. And I think that that's such a just a really amazing thing. This is the video for today, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you all for watching. Make sure you give Marco a like and subscribe to his channel if you haven't already. He's a very cool, clever guy, and he loves music. You can tell by the way that he listens to music that he loves music. Yeah, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you're all safe out there. I'll talk to you on the next one. Bye.